think yours is greater than others because
the constitutional proceedings does not come with the benefit of personal relationships. When you're in on trial and you're in on hearing and something important like this, it's all about your job description. I don't care how many people or how long you've been a Senate or you've been in Congress, you've been in office. I don't care. The only thing I care about is if you're exercising, executing, practicing your job description. So why are they speaking like, oh, I had this, friendly conversation and blah, blah, blah. Who cares? The point is, was your conversation, the words you was using, stood and stand for the word of the democracy of the United States of America? That's my question to you. When you're having meetings, when you're having conversations, when you're talking to your friends, is your words that you use in your paragraphs and phrases and language have similar and connected association to the democracy words of the United States of America, of justice and liberty for all?
We feel a sense of ownership.
Or are your conversations contradicting the democracy of the United States of America? When you have conversations.
There's no way Senator Toomey's going to allow that. I don't mean to pick on you, Pat, but there's no
so
way.
Why are they still leaning on personal relationships or on personal human?
Something bad is potentially in the wind.
Why are they not falling on the words and relying on the words of the democracy for this trial? Letting their emotional, personal behaviors get in their way of executing the job description they are hired and voted for to do.
So senators, men and women, fierce advocates for the great state in which they represent.
So why are you letting your emotional attachments, your personal relationships conflict, contradict your title, job description of office? Is a better question. Is it a constitutional proceeding to contradict your title, job description? Is it constitutional to contradict your job description because of your personal relationships of emotions?
I have no problem with that system. It helps us debate and decide what is best for America. The robust debate.
So if you believe in the democracy, in arguments and debate, the trial and the hearing that is fair by the democracy of word for word of how it will be proceeded shall continue by the demand of the United States democracy.
I know you aren't allowed to talk, but I don't see either one of them jumping up and saying I'm wrong.
And the proceedings
I think that's what happens.
of examining evidence, examining witnesses, examining physical evidence, and examining an existing event and scenarios and circumstances. And it will be examined by a fair hearing and fair trial. The examination of the argument, the examination of the debate will proceed to a verdict, a conviction, a verdict, a punishment by the words of the laws of the Constitution of the democracy of the United States of America, not a human being of their personal relationships, emotional attachments, and their personal obligations. The first and primary obligation is to the democracy of the United States of America, and no human at all.
The other day, when I was down here in Washington, I came down earlier in the week to try to figure out how to find my way around. I worked in this building 40 years ago. I got lost then, and I still do. But in studying the Constitution, in all the years I was a prosecutor, where
again,
so many things,
by his level of status of his job title, he understands lack of knowledge, not knowing the laws is not acceptable at any and all levels of court of the Constitution, democracy of the United States of America.
if you read the Federalist Papers. The last time a body such as the United States Senate sat at the pinnacle of government with the responsibility that it has today, it was happening in Athens, and it was happening in Rome. Republicanism.
The scenarios and the events have similarities, but what we are dealing with is what is present right now. And what we have present in front of us, that's the reason why we have a trial. That is the reason why we have a hearing, so we can examine of the present event now, the present evidence now, the present crime now, so we can adjust, amend, and make verdicts that is needed for the time of need, therefore, of the economy, of the time, therefore, of. So that has nothing to do with the United States of America, because of their time of, how they addressed it was at the time of their of. We are going to address it for the present time of thereof. This economy now, because the crime happened now. An examination is demanded. I demand, and the rest of us demand, an examination. And that's the reason why the founding fathers based it on trial and hearings that is fair, so we know how to make a verdict.
To attain security, we will lose both. And isn't the way we have enshrined in the Constitution the concepts of liberty that we think are critical, the very concepts of liberty that drove us to separate from Great Britain? And I can't believe these fellas are quoting what happened pre-revolution as though that's somehow of value to us. We left the British system.
The point of the history of the British system is because we're trying to wake them up. Why did we come to America? Why did we establish a fair justice trial? They were stating that they didn't need a trial. Well, that's the reason why we need a trial. It's because we separated ourselves from Great Britain so we can have fair trials. We can have debates. We can have the liberty. We can have the justice for all. That's the reason why they brought it up. Because their statement was, we don't need a trial. Well, we do need a trial because that's the whole reason why this whole United States of America was based on. And if we're not going to follow what this base of this United States is on, then what United States of America are you fighting for? Because you're not standing on the words of the United States of America. You're not acting the way of a United States of America.
Various public officials were not denouncing violence that we saw over the summer.
So now you understand why we took ourselves away from Great Britain.
That speech to
Then what is your standing grounds for lacking of the trial then?
I saw
If he understands
so-and-so seeks to
that
walk back comments
the
about-
basis of our
I forget what it was.
proceedings of unfair trial, fair hearing,
I was devastated.
to examine all the evidence, examine all the statements, to examine the debate, to examine the arguments,
She should be able
to get the correct and accurate judgment so we do not interfere,
as she
conflict, contradict
feels that the
anyone.
supporters of then President Trump are not worthy
Freedom
of their
and
being
fair.
considered. She should be permitted to say that. And anybody who agrees should be permitted to say they agree. That's what we broke away from Great Britain in order to be able to do. To be able to say what we thought in the most robust political debate. My colleague, Mike Vanderbeek, is going to give you a
That's the reason why we have extended laws. That's why we have extended amendments.
to your attention.
So you understand why freedom of speech
And I don't believe that
can be revoked.
expects anybody
So you will understand why freedom of speech can be withheld.
transpired over the last
As long as you do not break those other amendments, you are allowed to have freedom of speech. But because Donald Trump broke the Amendment 14 and Amendment 16 and Amendment 17,
comments.
that is probable cause by the proceedings that freedom of speech no longer occurs and obliged and is obligated to Donald Trump.
This trial is not about
Freedom of speech does not protect him
trading.
because the proceedings is if you break any other law,
It's about
then that means that is not freedom of speech.
good idea that
If you're making freedom of speech and your freedom of speech do not break the other amendments, does not break the other laws, then it's considered freedom of speech. But if your freedom of speech has any evidence of breaking other amendments, other laws, that is not freedom of speech because they have to address you in the other amendment, in the other law that you broke that no longer gives you the right to uphold freedom of speech.
we can't be thinking about.
You breaking other amendments, Amendment 14, Amendment 16, Amendment 17
And if people go
is the reason why you cannot use freedom of speech. And it's constitutional to revoke, withhold freedom of speech against anybody that went through a higher extent and a further extent to cause their freedom of speech to be more of a crime.
One of I noticed charges conspiracy with the 45th president of the United States. Probably because prosecutors have an ethical requirement that they are not allowed to charge people with criminal offenses without probable cause.
So again, is it constitutional to allow and permit a private citizen
If we
or any and all
road that
office officials
very worthy
to
adversaries
do
here
crimes,
asking
wrongdoing,
down
and failures to observe the law in the United States of America by the democracy of the United States of America? Is it allowed
to say
in any circumstances, in any
set of floodgates
type of level of category?
which is a
Does a constitution allow anyone to do crimes? Anyone.
Not here that that particular phrase
any job title, any official, any office official. Is anyone allowed to do crimes by the words of the democracy of the United States of America? Is anyone allowed? Is anyone permitted?
Will change one day. And
So,
impeachments will become commonplace.
if this impeachment stuff is going to become a hassle, then I demand an adjustment and addition, amendments, addition, paragraphs, addition, languages to give us a guideline of laws to address, to react to actions that acted in such type of manner.
Rare treatment. And a session where this body is sitting as a court of impeachment, among the most rare things it does. So the slippery slope principle will have taken hold if we continue to go forward with what is happening today and scheduled to happen
Because
this week.
the democracy demands a fair trial, fair hearing by the basis of the laws and the words. His statements is attacking and damaging and against and contradicting the words of the Constitution, democracy of the United States of America.
The pressure from those folks back home, especially for members of the House,
not allowing the constitutional proceedings to be allowed and permitted is this is a discrimination, prejudice, damage, assault, attack, an objection against the word for word of the democracy of the United States of America.
Really horrific happened, and the people represented by the members of the United States House of Representatives become incensed. And what do you do? The federal issue.
Bruce Castro Jr., you dumb as fuck. Someone revoke his fucking license. He cannot be an attorney of the United States of America if he does not respect and take up the responsibility of the word for word of the democracy of the United States of America, if he keeps objecting to the proceeding of the constitutional proceedings. Objecting against the constitutional proceedings and trial of a fair trial is against the democracy of the United States of America.
The person that gets impeached and is set here for you to consider is Eric Holder during Fast and Furious, Attorney General of the United States, or any other person that the other party considers to be a political danger to them down the road because of their avowed abilities.
Why does he keep using this as a political thing? Everything I said is all legal, is by the law. My whole argument is based on the law. All my arguments has nothing. All my debates has no political, nothing arguments inside. All my arguments are directly from the democracy itself. All my debates and all my arguments are directly from the Constitution. Every debate and every statement and every argument that I stated is not a politistic thing. It's all from the laws, Constitution, democracy of the United States of America. It's based on directly on facts, not on metaphors, not on nothing. I am directly using the democracy words. So if he continuously continue to state those things, he is illegal and he's against the democracy of the United States of America. I claim the statements as treason. I claim all his word for word statements as an intentional knowledge of knowing the laws. So this is intentionally breaking the laws, and this is treason. And I demand to press charges on Bruce Castro Jr. for all his statements under oath for damaging, insulting, and objecting against the democracy of the United States of America, being under oath today, on this day, right now. That is February 9th at 10:33 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time.
Nebraska, you're going to hear, is quite a judicial thinking place. And just maybe Senator Sass is on to something. You'll hear about it.
Nobody cares about other states' pride. So good job for you, Nebraska. Good job for you, all the rest of you states. Hooray, hooray. But the point of this whole trial is to examine the evidence. The point of this trial is to examine the crime. The point of this trial is to examine the arguments and the debates of what a crime has done. And the crime has been done. The event has been done. So we're not going to concentrate on other people's prides. We're not going to concentrate on other countries or other states' prides or egos. We're going to concentrate on the point of view and the real point and base of this crime that has been incited, and insurrection, uprising, of this riot, of rebel against the democracy of the United States of America.
Is the Senate of the United States. Shall the business of the Senate and thus the nation come to a halt, not just for the current weeks while a new president is trying to fill out his administration, but shall the business of the Senate and the nation come to a halt because impeachment becomes the rule?
Yes.
Rather than the rare exception?
Yes. Is it constitutional
I know you can
to address
that possibility because not a
and
single one of you
approach a crime
a second impeachment
in the proper time after the crime is done, even though there is other events that must be happening? As long as no one is afraid to work, as long as there's nobody afraid to get it done, there will be no problems on proceeding through the constitutional proceedings. And that's the reason why I demand no lazy people be voted no more. Because only lazy people would use that as an excuse to not have something done in a multitask way. Multitask means that you are a leader. You can get many things done. You are strong, you are brave, and you are courageous because you are a multitasker and you are accurate and you can get it done. It's a very hard job to multitask. I know, because I have to multitask, but that's why I praise you. Because only workers and only honest workers do not mind and do not care to multitask. Because they have the skills, they have the ability to multitask and get things done correctly. Because that is where their glory is. The glory is in multitasking and getting a result done. And enough with these delays. A leader gets something done. A leader gives you results. A leader gives you solutions. Leaders do not give you problems. Leaders do not give you excuses. Leaders give you results. Leaders give you solutions.
The article of impeachment is indivisible. And the reason why that's significant is you have to agree that every single aspect of the entire document warrants impeachment because it's an all or nothing document. You can't cut out parts that you agree with warrant impeachment and parts that don't. Because it's not divisible.
The disqualification
The rules is not divisible.
of this impeachment is important. It's because we're arguing and we're debating if and when Donald Trump should collect, receive, and be paid the office official profit and benefits.
Some of these things that you are asked to consider.
If we're going to debate about something like that, it has to have a trial. It has to have a hearing.
The argument about the 14th Amendment
We are arguing
is
for disqualification.
ridiculous.
We are debating for disqualification
House managers tell you that the president
because
should be impeached
examination
violated the 14th
of the violation of the 14th Amendment and the 16th Amendment.
No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or any other state who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or a member of.
The key word is previous. Anyone that took oath previous. It doesn't give an expiration date. As long as you gave an oath previous, you are breaking the 14th Amendment.
To remove such disability.
So we
it
have the
doesn't
right
take
to
a constitutional
remove.
scholar to recognize that that's written for people who fought for the Confederacy or previous military officers who were in the government of the Confederacy. And it does take a constitutional scholar to require that they be convicted first in a court with due process of law. So it never that question can never be ripe until those things have happened. Now, if you agree with
So to get that to happen, you need to examine the crime. You need to examine the evidence. You need to examine the witness. You need to examine all the testify statements in the court of law to make the judgment to disqualify. Duh. He's skipping the whole proceeding. He's skipping the whole process to get to the judgment, to get to the verdict, to get to the decree of judgment of what to do, of disqualification. Should we disqualify or should we not disqualify? That's why we're having this trial. The fuck is he talking about? Is he an idiot?
I was struck. I thought the House managers who spoke earlier were brilliant speakers.
So that statement protects what?
They'll hear about what I think about
Disqualification. His statement that this Bruce Castro Jr. just stated is physical evidence that Donald Trump is disqualified because his probable cause of actions to delay or not let the proceeding of examination of the evidence to be proceeded.
The majority in the House of Representatives does not want to face Donald Trump as a
No, that is disqualification.
That's why they have to get over.
No, the real reason we here, we are arguing, should we disqualify someone or not disqualify someone?
So that's nobody says it.
That is the truth.
But unfortunately, I have
This whole
speaking that way.
argument is, should we disqualify or shouldn't we not disqualify? And the only way we're going to know is by examining the case, examining the evidence, and going off of the evidence, not allegations.
Favorable to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle here, their system works.
He's looking for pity.
People are
Bruce Castro Jr. looking for pity. He looking for pity. He looking for somebody for feel bad, somebody that is weak, someone that is sensitive, someone that's soft-hearted. Bruce Castro Jr. right now want to find a soft-hearted person and walk all over him like a doormat because they always attack the weak, saying, oh, you know, why don't you just let it go, blah, blah, blah. But look how many evidence I have shown that letting things go causes them to do what? Have an adrenaline on high that if they do them again, if they ever get in trouble like this again, they can do them again because they'll get away. It's the point of the high, the adrenaline of getting away. They don't care that somebody else is the scapegoat. They don't care that somebody else in jail right now for this shit that they're doing. Because the Republicans are saying now it was a small group. So who is this name of this small group? Who is this small group that they are blaming this on? So name us the small group. Give us this small group so we can put them responsible. We can make them obligated and we can proceed them through the laws and convict them. If they're saying it's not his fault and it's a small group of people's fault, then give us this small group of people so we can put them in jail and take away their civilian rights.
That's what the fear is the fear that the people in 2024, in fact, will want to change.